I got two hands, I got my mouth, I know how to earn money.
She absolutely does. She doesn't miss a trick. This is the most, as I call, the most relevant video I've ever made. And it goes to show with online bullying, envy, jealousy, and so forth, what harm it could cause others. This woman, who I guess is Australian by birth, her and her husband ran an animal sanctuary in Minnesota. And she had a love for animals, but particularly foxes and small animals. And it was a non-profit organization. She had millions of followers. Beautiful young woman, age 29. What a waste of life. Age 29. To go show you what online bullying drove her to take her own life. I just got this information this morning by accident. So I put up a short video regarding that matter. I forgot her name, Melissa Rains, I think it was her name. Last name Rains. And all she did was good. And it was her endeavor, it was her life, and what got her out of her autism and some other problems that she suffered with, such as depression and so forth. This woman is now dead. And what drove her to die was the overwhelming amount of bullies, naysayers, jealous people, envious people of her. And that came from people who were supposed to be friends, and it came from people from other animal sanctuaries. Jealousy, of course. It's always the bottom element, jealousy and envy. Now a life is gone. Beautiful young woman with her whole life ahead of her. And imagine how her husband is feeling. He's devastated. The daughter, very young daughter, is now not going to have a mother. Because YouTubers and social media got so carried away with envy and jealousy that they had the field to attack. Oh, we're so familiar with that. I am very familiar with that. I'm certainly not going to take my life, but I will tell you something. You wonder why I fight back on this shit. It's unnecessary on every level. You know, we all get involved to some degree with this online, the famous vortex, but it's up to you to get off that vortex and make some realization that it's not worth it. If you have a cause, it's great when you got a cause. And it's also great for sharing of information, to educate people, if not anything else. But this woman, age 29, only 29 years old, took her life because she couldn't handle the stress anymore. It overwhelmed her. This a lot happens with a lot younger people that are getting bullied. Maybe a boyfriend puts some risque photographs out of the girlfriend in anger of a breakup or something like that. We know somebody that was actually wanting to do that, don't we? Fortunately, he got a little bit of a lesson learned the hard way. But let this be a lesson to people that, although you think it's funny to harass, bully, and even with women to, misogyny, a lot of things involved, that you're hurting another person and unnecessarily. They get joy and they get their rocks off on making insults and injury to people that don't deserve it. But they don't concentrate on the people who really deserve it. But even so, even if somebody deserved something here on YouTube, should never come to this, what happened to this young woman. You don't know somebody's psychology, how sensitive they are. Some people try to hide it, as she did, but she couldn't no longer hide it. She did so much good for animals. She had a belief in saving foxes and small animals. So she developed her own kind of a foundation, a nonprofit, to raise money for this purpose. In other words, she had a purpose in her life. It wasn't like your typical lonely YouTuber that don't get a woman, can't get a woman, has nothing going on with their life whatsoever, don't have a partner or a wife, a companion. but they're basically just gloating, whatever, in their misery, and they want everybody else to feel their bitterness and misery. And we have that right here in this genre, right here in the Philippines. Obviously so. Sure, it was wrong what these people did to her, but this is what humans are. I've been pushing this thought for a long time. When I hear tragedies like this, I got to talk about it. You know damn well I'm going to talk about it. It's okay for you not to like somebody. It's perfectly okay. It's okay for me not to like somebody. But to do something on a religious basis, you know, sure, you can make mention of another YouTuber. You may disagree with something they say or do. That's okay. You have the right to do that. I think it's what degree that they carry this out. That's the big difference. You don't like another YouTuber, let them know, hey man, I don't like you. And you know, you don't have to tune in. Nor do I. It goes both directions. Being fair about this, it goes both directions. But nobody deserved, she never deserved what happened to her. I never knew she existed until I saw this feed. Beautiful gal, but beauty has nothing to do with it. It's a beauty inside her heart that this woman had. What a wasted life, what a waste of her life. That things got so pressured for her, and she already suffered some psychological issues that made it very difficult to her to get through life. But the thing that got her through, and through her various degrees of some mental illness with depression, and she suffered from autism, it was these animals that brought her out of this autism and made her a whole person. And because of these ridiculous, worthless pieces of shit on social media that became so goddamn judgmental of her and all the good she was doing because of envy and jealousy. Let's face the fact, that's what it comes down to. There's no ifs and buts about it. There is no excuse as to what happened to her. She took her own life, but it's the people who took her life away from her. You go watch my short video and it'll enlighten you who she is. It's a short video anyway. Take the time to go watch something that's worthwhile watching. I say the same thing on my channel. If you don't enjoy what I have to say on here, then don't watch it. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. No guns to shine up. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. Just go to another channel. And if you want to create your own bitching and whining channel, you could do that too. But at least you're not interfering with somebody's life. So many wrongs have been done on YouTube in our community alone. That's just in our community. How many communities there are throughout the world, every country, every town, city, barangay, every county, every state. This is what goes on every single day on social media. I personally think this is the worst thing that's ever happened to our society. Sure, we revel in the marvel of the new electronics that allow us to communicate with the rest of the world. But I think when YouTube stepped in here, they weren't doing anybody a justice. Sure, it gave somebody a platform to speak. It's like having your own radio station without all the expenses. It was a marvelous thing when you really think about it. It really was, or is. But when it comes to this point, all these cowards that hide behind their computer, go into sock account names and so forth, and they try to gather the masses behind them to think their way, to see their way, and to spread so much mistruth. Sure, that takes a toll on people. It takes its toll on people. I personally am not going to allow this to happen to me anymore. That ain't going to happen anymore. Seeing something as tragic as this, it just reinforces what I've always talked about on my show. It just reinforces it. It really does. There's a lot of cruel but sick-minded people out there. And it's just not on YouTube, it's everywhere. But it just so happens that a lot of these people are on social media. It doesn't have to be YouTube, Facebook, and other platforms and endeavors. But this is what goes on a daily basis. They're very brave. They're very brave behind their computer, the protection of their home. and the distance that separates them from other vloggers that they've been attacking. But the fact is, if somebody came to their door and confronted them, they'd piss their pants. There'll be an end to that situation. You know what? I can no longer go on with this anymore. It's not fear. It's disappointment, is what it is. That our society has come down to this, where they use social media as a tool. That's exactly what they're doing. They use social media as a tool to try to hurt or harm somebody, morally, psychologically, even physically. I cannot be part of this anymore. I have to make that decision, yes or no, to get the fuck off here. Just take care of my business only. I'm not your voice piece on here. I'm not your sheriff. I'm not any of the above. Just a vlogger, small-time vlogger, who's trying to do informative shows, but without any benefit. There's no monetization. There's nothing. I do this on my own. I give my own advice on my own. Nobody asked me to give advice, but I give it anyway. Some people have learned a lot from me. Many have, but they just won't admit it. But they keep on watching all the time. They keep on watching. There's a lot of sick people out there. And I don't think my girlfriend deserves any of this too, because she's been under the attack too. I don't think she deserves this. Sure, she never liked me going on YouTube, but she tolerated it and said, well, I understand on some levels why you do it. She's very understanding with stuff like that. But when she sees me being harmed legally, morally, and just go down the list, she's not very comfortable with that. I gotta really respect her wishes. I really do. It's not worth my time on here. My business is my own and my personal life is my own, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should have been years ago, but I don't listen to myself sometimes and say, I don't care what people think, I'm going to do and say whatever I want on my show, and I do, and I always have. Nothing ever stopped me from voicing my opinion, but there's a big difference between opinion, there's a difference between envy and jealousy, and that is definitely part of the elements. The people that listen to my show. I know that most of the people that come on here are all trolls, going under different names, trying to be friendly with me, and that's another consideration too. I'm not that gullible and stupid. I've been one step or two steps ahead of some people on here that they even realize, and got more information on people that I've never presented. But do you proliferate this? That's the thing. By responding to other people's shows on me, copycat shows and all that crap, you're just giving them ammunition that they're looking for. Why bother? It doesn't settle anything. In fact, it can make it worse sometimes. Don't give them what they want. They want a response from you. And too many times I've given in to that, because I've always have something to say. And I don't mind the challenge at times. I don't mind. And I've always came victoriously to the challenge. Historically, I have. But you have to ask yourself, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? I don't think it is. Time and time again, I contemplated the thought of just getting the fuck off this thing. But when you're a foreigner out here, and I understand how some of them, why they do YouTube shows, because some of them who may even have a partner or a wife, they don't have a completed picture. They're out of their country. They're out of their element. And some people out here, like, I don't need to, deal with foreigners. I didn't come out here to be around, people from my own country. I came around here to get away from them, really. I don't really, hang around and stuff. But then I don't have a lot of things in common anyway, because I don't drink, and most foreigners drink. From my own experience out here, and all the years I've been out here, and I've been out here quite a few years, what I've experienced has been good, but it's been negative too. Because it's the foreigners, they give other foreigners a bad name. Henceforth, Vitali, Somali, Barry, and people of such. And the list goes on. I can't be part of this. I can't be part of this anymore. I got to make a decision at one point here. and maybe it's the time to do it. My personal life needs to be kept personal. I need to go on with my life, and I do every day. I go on my life every day. It don't matter if I do shows. Chores I got to do, I do. My life goes on when I get up in the morning. I keep myself busy. I keep myself happy in my own way. And I'm a very fortunate person to have somebody who really gives a shit about me. And a lot of these people, unfortunately, they don't have what I have. Let's just face the realities: envy and jealousy. You can say anything you want on it, but that's exactly what it comes down to. It's envy and it's jealousy. You don't need to subject yourself to this. Why should you? What, just to have a show? Well, in my case particularly, as I've said many times, I'm not monetized. I got nothing to gain on here. Except if I'm having a boring moment, I can come on YouTube and rap a little bit with my viewers. Say what's on my mind, share thoughts, share something that I've learned. I think I've done my job. I've done it very well. Of course, there are people that will attack me on this, of course. I expect that, but that's my whole point. Is it worth having a YouTube show if you're contemplating having one? I suggest you don't. Unless you're going to do a show that entirely has nothing to do with the gossip in the neighborhood, like Philippines Antics, all these shows. When you get involved in too much gossip and stuff and chismis, that's when all the trouble really begins. And a lot of these people, they start off with good intent. I got to attract viewers, and we know that drama attracts, but sometimes it gets out of hand. And according to the person's psychology, you don't know who or what you're dealing with. You really don't. Look at Brevis. Total psychotic, man. You know, who knows what would happen with Brevis? He's not normal. And I've never found anybody here that I consider normal, except maybe a few vloggers out there, Amazing Philippines, and a few other people. Well, actually, more than a few. I have my own little choices out here. I don't tell you all the channels because I don't want you to disrupt their channel. There are some good vloggers out there, excellent vloggers that I still will listen to. But I am no longer going to be going to these troll channels. I'm no longer going to be listening to all the copycat bullshit, because there's going to be nothing to copy anymore. I guess that's a decision I'm making today. I got a lot on my plate, and I got to clean off that plate. And I got to do whatever it is I can to make sure that never happens again, by punishment of the other person, legally or otherwise. Well, legally, put it that way. Everything has a beginning and everything has an end. Even at my age, I never said I'm going to live forever. There will be an end. You'll be very happy when that happens, I'm sure, if you knew about it. But that's the mindset of the people out here. No, I don't wish people die, contrary with the trolls think. I don't wish that on anyone, as I wouldn't wish it on myself. But some people, if they were dead, would it make a difference in the world? No. It would not make any difference at all. Not even remotely. Nobody would even know you're gone after a while. If you didn't contribute somehow to society, whether it's art, whether it's volunteer work, whether just giving honest opinions about life in itself, giving your own philosophy, making people aware of things around them who were never aware of it before, maybe just never thought about it. You know, Frank's right. I never thought about it this way. I just never sat down and thought about life the way he does. Maybe I'm seeing things a little clear now. New thoughts being presented by Frank Battaglia. Battaglia. Pronounce it right next time. Anyway, fun, entertainment, yeah, it can be on YouTube. And Lord knows I've had a lot of fun and a lot of entertainment and a lot of pleasure doing my shows. A hell of a lot. But I think you have to draw the line, just like you draw the line in the sand with anything else. And I certainly have, and I proved that I draw a line in the sand with some people. Ask somebody that's in prison right now, who will never be able to come in this country again. Yeah. I still have unfinished business, that's for sure, legally. But we're going to handle that too in every way we can. And unfortunately, it's driving me to take this incident a little bit further. I didn't want to do it, but there's been no movement on this issue, and unfortunately it looks like pretty much that I have to take a different direction with this, which we got this domino effect. It was not started by me at all. Sometimes you got to do what you have to do whether you like it or not. You got to stand in a position, you got to be boots on the ground, and you have to do something to make a point, and to make somebody learn from their mistakes and say, yeah, I really did wrong, and I wish I never did that. Now I'm in big trouble, blah, blah, blah. You know how that works. Okay, call the final countdown. Let's count down from 5. And I'm off. And as I said many times, beat the shit out of each other on here. I don't care what the hell you do. I'm not going to go to the troll channels. I'm not going to go to copycat channels. I'm going to avoid that like the plague. And watch the things that I enjoy watching on here that gives me a lot of pleasure and educates me, which is actually predominantly what I do when I'm on my phone and I'm on YouTube. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not looking at everybody's channel unless they're on my feed or if I subscribed. But I'm actually looking at a lot more things that have nothing to do with YouTube drama, YouTube trolls. Whether you believe that or not, I don't really care, but that's actually what I do. I always said that when I decide to get off, I'm just going to get off. And I got to hold myself to it. And yes, it's been embarrassing to me so many times. I said I was getting off, and you just have to do something. You're going to stay smoking or quit smoking, or you're going to stay on YouTube or get off YouTube. You have to make a decision along the line. In light of this beautiful, in honor of her really, of this beautiful young lady who was just trying to do good in her life, and you look at my previous video, which was a short, and it had to do with this young lady who was doing nothing but good in her life. She wasn't looking for trouble. She liked to save foxes. She had a foundation, a nonprofit, and small animals, loved by everyone. But it goes to show how people turn on you with envy and jealousy. Her own friends turned on her. Other animal organizations turned on her. They were jealous of the work she was doing. They wanted more attention, these other organizations. They wanted the lion's share of the funds that she was making to help these animals out. And she had like millions of followers. She's very well known in her own field. Now a beautiful 29-year-old woman is dead, suicide, because she couldn't take being bullied anymore. That's what it comes down to sometimes. You definitely can't quit smoking. And what does that comment mean? Is that a wisecrack? And it's really no concern of yours, sir. That's the biggest problem. I shouldn't make anything a concern of anybody on here in my personal life. And what I should have stayed doing, which is probably the best thing to do, was just showing projects and showing things like that. It sounds like I'm making excuses to stay on YouTube, and that would be some good excuses. Get away from all the drama and do some of the things I normally do anyway. Show different projects going on, what's involved with it. I get a lot of enjoyment from that. Kind of like documenting stuff. I got 2% power anyway. But what does that mean, Philippines? That you definitely can't quit smoking? You telling me to continue, or you saying that I just can't do it? I could do practically anything I put my mind to. Maybe I don't care to quit. After knowing people at a later age that quit smoking and they died 3 months later, maybe that's in my head. Maybe that is. Maybe that's what's going on. After all the effort, and they die afterwards, after all the effort. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to discourage people from your habits, whether you drink or smoke. It's always a better idea to not get into any kind of habits like that. I'm not going to promote that way of thinking, okay? Yes, definitely quit smoking, drinking, and quit stuffing your fucking fat faces. Your time will come, you don't think it will. But if there has to be a laugh at the end of this all, we're all going to meet our maker. I'm going to meet my maker, and so are you. But some of you that are highly obese, they're going to meet their maker a lot sooner than I am. And even if I'm older than them, their day is going to come. We will note that. We will note that when the time comes. And I have my own personal list based on facts habits, weight, age, height. It's pretty accurate. It's going to happen. They know it's just like Fazio. They're no longer to be around. There'll be nobody else for them to bother out there because they'll be dead. End of game. End of times. Nobody should attack anybody in that way. Now, if anything, I've given out good advice, even to people like Kevin. I always told them. And I would tell him straight off because I'm a straight shooter. Stop pretending you're having this wonderful life and actually have a wonderful life and do things. See, there's a method to my madness, as I always say. I give people good advice, and you might take it as an attack. It's really not an attack. It's basically taking that proverbial mirror and putting it in front of them and let them see themselves rather than offer such negative opinions about everybody else. That's all I've ever done. That's all I've ever done on here. Nothing less, nothing more. I let people see themselves. That's my best ammunition. It's my best work I've ever done on YouTube. Is I show these people who they really are, and they don't like it. And that's not, to blame on me. They have to face their own realities in life, whether it's their health, their weight and everything else, their habits too. They have to face that reality that you can't live forever, no matter how much of a bullier you are on here, or even a misogynist, or you have this thing with women, and you treat them like shit, and you call them hoes. People like that, and we know who they are. They're not going to live a long, happy life, and they're probably not living a happy life right now. That's why all the bitterness. Popeye and all these people, they're not all living a perfect life. They're not happy. I proved that so many times on my show. I didn't have to prove anything. But the one thing I think I've always done, and I've done very well, is showing people who they really are. That's my best work. That's my best work. I don't go to porn websites, sir. I don't need to. Thank you very much for the question, but it's not relevant to what we're talking about on here. This is what I mean. Is it worth it? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not.